myself, Howell T, joined by Chase Smith and Corey Stockton, here to break down the biggest news stories from the world of Jiu-Jitsu, grappling, and even a little bit of MMA today.
Whoa, crossover episode. Yeah. Very nice.
So, yeah, we'll get into it a little deeper, but if you've read the Grappling Bulletin article this morning, which I suggest you always do, because it kind of gives you a sense of what we're talking about here on this show, is the best way to kickstart your Monday, to check out the Grappling Bulletin article on the site. But we do lead with that. We talk a lot about the fact that there are a number of very high-profile names from the world of Jiu-Jitsu and grappling looking to make a move over to MMA. We'll get into that in a minute. Even got some training footage some secret session training footage.
That's the best stuff. I love that.
But let's get into the grappling news roundup real quick, because there's a lot of stories happening at the moment. Of course, we know that there's some big events coming up, none bigger than ADCC. That is taking place later this year in September. But already there's so much to talk about, because you've got the names coming in all the time about who's been invited, who's been confirmed, who's winning the trials. And then you got the bombshell news that a sponsor has stepped up and is adding a further $50,000 to the ADCC Superfight prize, making this one of the biggest paydays in Jiu-Jitsu grappling history. Huge.
You love to see it. Yeah, the sponsor is known as the Metaverse Dog, involved in cryptocurrency. I don't know exactly what it does there. Not my realm, but very happy to see them stepping up and chipping in. Like you said, pushing the pot for ADCC 2022 to the biggest ever. You love to see the sport growing in that way, bringing in bigger sponsors, more eyeballs, and more money for our athletes. So.
Yeah, play that, Tyler. Play the whole thing, because you got the banner with the guys, and then of course this sets up the fact that the super fight between Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao. Originally, there was a $50,000 prize fund, $40,000 for the winner, $10,000 for the runner-up. Mo Jassim and his team, who were putting on the 2022 ADCC World Championships, were like, you know what? Let's raise the stakes. Let's put in another $50K. How they were actually going to split it between the winner and the runner-up, I don't know. But that was going to be $100,000 total prize money. Metaverse Dog, they came in and they're like, you know what? We got money to burn. Let's just put another $50K in there. This needs to be bigger. So now it's going to be $100,000 for the winner and $50,000 for the runner-up. Corey, that's serious money.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys deserve it. This has been one of the most talked about grappling matches for the last 3 years. So we're all anticipating it, and it's good to see that other companies are getting involved and making sure that these guys get paid appropriately.
Now, if anybody's going to get this kind of money, it should be Andre Galvao and Gordon Ryan, right? If anybody deserves it.
Yeah, and I mean, have you guys seen the photos of the Thomas and Mack Center and what the setup is going to look like? Mo posted some on his Instagram. I think it's also been on the ADCC official Instagram.
12,000 capacity venue, yeah.
And with the ticket sales being the way that they are, I mean, it's going to be next level. It really is going to be the next stage and evolution of jiu-jitsu and grappling in general.
Can't wait to be there. The only other confirmed prize in jiu-jitsu that comes even close to this that I can think of would be the Spider tournament in Korea a couple of years ago in 2019 that you went to, where it was $100,000 for the tournament winners, right?
Yeah, Spider's awesome, man. I haven't heard much from them since the pandemic and everything. I know they're still around doing some smaller scale events. But yeah, they put up a lot of big money and also took a lot of care in the way that they set up and presented their events. The arena was built basically specifically for jiu-jitsu, and it's more of like an auditorium. You would see a play or something of that nature at. But yeah, fantastic event, and it's always exciting to see really creative minds with a little bit bigger budget and what they can do with that for the sport. So
yeah, I mean, that's how you get to the next level, and it's taken people like Mo Jassim and his team to come in and to invest time, energy, and a not insignificant amount of money into making this happen. Like you say, the venue is going to be incredible, 12,000 plus capacity. I think it's something like 98% sold out, or ridiculous like that. Tickets went on sale a full 10 months out from the event, and they sold like that. And then this, I'm sure there are going to be further announcements between now and then. I'm excited to see what it is. But the fact that this crypto coin Metaverse Dog is coming in and putting in an extra $50,000 for the ADCC Superfight winner, big news. Big news indeed. Next up in the news is the FloGrappling Awards. So we're announcing the winners this weekend, January 21st, Friday night, in a special show that will air right before Who's Number One. Chase and I are going to be hosting the award ceremony, and we will be announcing the winners of each of the 5 categories. Let's go through them one by one just so people can refresh exactly who the nominees were. We'll start off with Male Grappler of the Year. 6 nominations per category, 5 categories to be disputed. And then let's bring it up so we can see. There we go. The Male Grappler of the Year. Who we got?
Let me read them off for you. We have Diego Pato Oliveira, Cade Ruotolo, Mika Galvao, Tainan Dalpra, Micah Musumeci, and Kyan Duarte there. I like that design, by the way. Hal, did you knock that out?
I wish I did. No, that's our excellent team of graphic designers. That's like a little sneak peek of what to expect this weekend. Then the Female Grappler of the Year, which we can bring up next. Corey, what do you think about this lineup? Read them out.
Yeah, it's a great lineup. Ana Rodriguez, Gabby Pisagna, Ana Carolina Vieira, Mayssa Bastos, Yara Suarez, and Rafaela Guedes.
Another category was the Breakthrough Grappler of the Year. This was designed to feature the up-and-coming talents who really came onto our radar in 2021. And the guys who impressed us. Mika Galvao, double nomination for both Male Grappler of the Year and Breakout Grappler of the Year. I mean, not unfair to put him on both lists, but also Hillbilly Hammer, Jacob Couch, Elder Cruz, El Monstro, Eric Moniz, Brianna St. Marie, and Cole Abate. 6 very deserving nominees. And then we've got 2 more categories. We have the Match of the Year, which is one of the most exciting ones. Of course, we got a little bit of everything on there. Amanda Levy versus Gabby Garcia, Victor Hugo Merigali from Worlds. Cade is actually on there twice. Cade Ruotolo versus Roberto Jimenez, and Cade versus Ethan Krallinston. Of course, Cade, man, rarely do you ever see him in a bad match. And then Muhammad Ali versus Felipe Andrew, and Estevan Martinez, who you can watch in action on Friday, versus Cameron Malo. And then the last category was Submission of the Year.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one of people's most anticipated categories. Kicking things off with our nominees, we have Gabriel Souza, where he submitted Mike Musumeci at the WNO Championships, Cade Ruotolo, and debuting the buggy choke to the world's biggest stage in Jiu-Jitsu. We also have Grace Gundram's Twister over there, Joe Durkheising's Calf Slicer from Worlds. I said his name right. That's 2 points for me. Barry Rashida's Assassin Choke. And then we have Gordon Ryan calling his shot ahead of the match with the triangle submission over Wagner Roach at WNO. All of which crystallized in my mind as some of the biggest moments from 2021. Fantastic showing. And yeah, doing these awards is such a great time for us because we get to really sort of review what transpired over the year in such like a deep dive manner.
There was a lot of good jiu-jitsu last year. There was a lot of good jiu-jitsu. We will announce the winners of each category on Friday, January 21st on FloGrappling.com, and you'll be able to watch it free on our YouTube as well. And then shortly after we announce all those winners, we're actually going to be dropping a huge highlight video, the 21 best submissions of 2021. Chase has been working away on that one for the last week or so. And believe me, it's got some incredible jiu-jitsu in it, right?
Yeah, that's the short and the long list of all the ideas we were kicking around over the course of 12 months.
Could have been 101 submissions, to be honest.
It extended longer than 21, yeah. But, 2021, top 21 subs, it just was too nice. We couldn't ignore that. So.
No, absolutely. Man, I'm super excited. The awards is going to be a lot of fun. But let's move through the news. Going back to ADCC news. Now, of course, the ADCC have been revealing names confirmed as participating in the 2022 ADCC World Championships, but they've also been announcing inductees into the ADCC Hall of Fame. Now, this was a brand new thing that came about this year, or at the end of 2021, that they announced that they would have a Hall of Fame. And it's been a very interesting ongoing process as they've been revealing the names and some of these very storied names from the last 20 years of grappling in the ADCC realm. And the latest one to be announced is Mario Sperry. Corey, maybe you could give the fans a little bit of an idea about who is Mario Sperry and why he was added to the ADCC Hall of Fame.
The very first absolute champion, right? Mario Sperry took double gold in the first year of ADCC 1998 and has won, I can't count how many matches, but yeah, the first double gold champion of ADCC.
And I believe that he was actually, along with Andre Galvao, the only other person to win 2 consecutive ADCC super fights in 1999 and 2000. So Mario Sperry, a pioneer in the sport, going way back to the beginnings of ADCC history, but a very powerful figure indeed. And of course, don't forget that Mario Sperry, as he's called, he was a phenomenal competitor. He was an amazing coach. He obviously had a great MMA career as well as grappling. And yeah, I think without him, ADCC wouldn't quite be where it is, would it?
No. Fun fact, my first coach is a Mario Sperry black belt.
Oh,
Eduardo Geddes, yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, Mario Sperry added to the ADCC Hall of Fame alongside, man, there's quite a few names on that list now, huh?
Yeah, it's an awesome list. I believe that the plan is for ADCC to roll them out each week, with Mario Sperry being the most recent. Kicking things off, we had Roger Gracie, then Andre Galvao, Marcelo Garcia is in there, Ricardo Arona, Kira Gracie, Braulio Estima, Hoyler Gracie, Dean Lister, and Rafa Mendes was most recently announced before Mario Sperry.
That's a powerful lineup. I'm wondering how many they're going to announce.
Mo's intending to keep it rolling all the way through. There's a lot of guys with significant claims to being in this Hall of Fame. Men and
just
women,
doing a quick calculation. Well, there's probably about another 30-something weeks between now and ADCC. That's another 30 people for the ADCC Hall of Fame. I don't know. We'll see. Hey,
if you're going to do it, go big.
Go big.
So, yeah.
That's definitely the ADCC way. Some news from team switching. We like to keep our eye on competitors who move from team to team. And Mayssa Bastos, a two-time IBJJF world champion, also a no-gi world champion, obviously who's number one, 115-pound champion, the strawweight champion, has announced that after years of representing both Unity Jiu-Jitsu and GF Team, that she is now officially exclusively working with Unity Jiu-Jitsu out in New York. So Mayssa Bastos, you ever saw her compete, she always had both patches on her gi, right?
Yeah. She managed to maintain a relationship with both teams. Definitely, just based on location, was spending more time at Unity. That's where she lives most of the year, I want to say. So it's only natural that as she makes North America her home, in the very city she spends most of the time in, that's less of a connection to GF Team, which is primarily was in Brazil for a very long time.
And primarily in Rio de Janeiro, not even that big in Brazil.
I know Julia was up in California for a little while, but I don't know how long that lasted, and I think that's maybe part of the switch, is that she maintains a very close relationship with Marilla Santana and the actual team day-to-day at Unity Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, and it is unusual for a high-level competitor like Mayssa to be working closely with two teams at the same time. I think it speaks a lot as to the open-mindedness from both Julio Cesar Pereira of GF Team and Murillo Santana of Unity, because I think a lot of other team coaches wouldn't have been quite so accepting of that arrangement. But I like the fact that, that she has very cordially and respectfully announced this switch to working full-time just with Unity Jiu-Jitsu. And of course, she credits Julio Cesar as getting her for where she did. She's a black belt under Julio. And she started from day one with those guys. And she says that she'll be forever grateful to GF Team for everything they did for her. That she's been training at Unity for a few years now. She was very lucky to have both Julio and Murillo Santana always wanting the best for her and supporting her. She did everything in her power to represent both teams in the best way possible. And now, as you said, Chase, living in New York, that she's officially decided to start representing Unity Jiu-Jitsu. As I said, Corey, it's unusual to see a competitor representing two teams simultaneously. So kind of this is much more the traditional way, isn't it? You stick with one.
Yeah, and it's great. We talked even last week about kind of the open-mindedness of GF Team accepting Patrick Gaudio back. But it goes to show this just again. And this is a huge success for Unity, who we talked about at Nogi Worlds, had several champions, despite the fact that two of their champions weren't officially representing Unity. So this is a good success for them, now having one more athlete who has obvious potential to win more golds at Worlds and Nogi World and whatever major tournament she enters, bringing more gold to more potential points to Unity.
Yeah, I just reading through some of our YouTube comments here as well, and people are kind of following along with the developments and the news and stuff, and saying that there's not a lot of news happening in the world of grappling. It's definitely a quiet time, right? Yeah. But I think that this is significant. I think that a world champion who's been balancing two teams simultaneously for such a long time and now deciding to go all in on one. It shakes the power dynamic in terms of the rankings as well, because we were thinking about the competitors that GF team have and the competitors that Unity had. If you think about it now, that's a serious boost to Unity's women's squad, right, Corey?
Exactly, and we talk about Mayssa particularly has the potential to bring very heavy gold medals back to our team. So Unity is growing, and this is a great indication of it.
It's awesome to see a really grassroots team like Unity build itself into kind of a powerhouse over the last several years. And as Corey mentioned, locking up almost a guaranteed podium finish, if not a strong contender for another gold medal at Worlds.
Yeah.
For the teams race, that makes things pretty interesting.
It does indeed. It really does. Well, should we move on and talk a little bit about who's number one? Because it is coming up this weekend, if you haven't heard, January 21st, Dallas, Texas, live here on FloGrappling. Who's number one? The main event is Craig Jones versus Pedro Marinho. I am so excited for this match. I'm really excited to see the debut of Pedro Marinho on Who's Number One. And I'm especially excited for the fact that he's taking on somebody such as Craig Jones. This is one of those amazing style versus style matches that I'm really intrigued as to how it will play out. But that's not the only big match, because we dropped the news last week, Thursday last week, the late announcement that Mikey Musumeci is going to slide in to replace the injured John Calistine and will defend his 135-pound title belt against Estevan Martinez. Man, that is a great match.
Gotta love Mikey dropping in the clutch, right? Of course, yeah. John pulling out is a disappointing thing for us all, but Mikey jumping in, well, I can't complain about that. That's fantastic. And it also adds another layer, as it is Mikey's first title defense, right?
Right.
In fact, I think it's the first title defense for any of our champs at WNO. So that's really exciting to me. We actually have a clip here of Mikey from some of the action over the years here, or not years, but over last year at WNO. But in any case,
because he had a busy year last year,
he
right?
did, and he competed at Road to ADCC as well. But here we see Mikey. This is actually his very first match at WNO, his first no-gi match since I want to say November of 2016. So there are so many questions coming into the beginning of this trajectory. What would Mikey's game look like? How would he do?
He looked pretty good.
As it turned out, it'd be pretty a solid performance all the way around for Mikey. So this is his first match against Marcelo Cohen. Opened things up with some great passing, got into the mount, and finished his shoulder
remember that
after.
top game?
Oh yeah, pressure was just crushing.
Yeah, it was incredible. The way that he was like just crushing, like you say, Cohen from top, and then got that triangle and dropped off and picked up that razor fast armbar. You could see in the corner Lex Friedman and Joe Rogan, just like, wow. I mean, watching a master at work. And then he came back. Corey, he hit this. This was one of our fastest submissions of the year, right?
Absolutely. I think it was number 3 on the top 12 fastest submissions of the year in under a minute here against Lucas Pinheiro. And this was his first heel hook of his career, his first heel hook victory of his career.
I look pretty good with that. And then coming back, this is October. This was when Musumeci actually took the title, because he had competed at various weight classes throughout the year. But in October, we set him up for a 135-pound title match to take on the vacant. It would be a vacant title. The winner of this match would take it. And Musumeci unveiled the unusual, the unorthodox, and now a little bit infamous submission, the Mikey lock against Richard Alarcon. A kind of a knee bar heel hook hybrid, a twisting leg lock. Very dangerous, very damaging kind of leg lock when applied with pressure. But man, that got people talking. But that just goes to show that Mikey, he had a great run last year. And that's not even counting the fact that he had a wonderful match against Gio Martinez, an amazing match against Gio Martinez there on Road to ADCC. He also faced off with Junior Ocasio, if I'm right, as well. And, it's a very strong year. But kicking it off against somebody like Estevan, man, Estevan is just a furious ball of energy, right? How does Mikey contain somebody like Estevan Martinez?
Yeah, Estevan is super fan-friendly for almost any opponent, right? You can't make up a bad matchup for him, because he just brings the heat. He's super exciting, dynamic athlete, loves to just kind of cartwheel or backflip over his opponents, uses chaos to his advantage, right? Controlled scrambles. And yeah, the riddle of solving what to do with that is going to be great to see what Mikey comes with the game plan.
What do you think, Corey? How do you think this one's going to play out? I know you spoke about it a little bit last week on the Who's Number One podcast, but oh no, you didn't, because we hadn't announced this match then. All right, your thoughts. Your thoughts on Mikey versus Estevan. How's it going to go?
Yeah, Estevan poses a really unique challenge to Mikey, and that Mikey is very good when people are willing to at least stand in his range, but Estevan plays at nobody's range except for his own, and he's high flying, high energy. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Mikey plans or approaches slowing somebody like Estevan down. Mikey works really well when he has his controls and his grips and his connections, but Estevan is not going to want any part of that. And we'll try to fly over Mikey's guard. I want to see what kind of answers he's come up with to solve that backflip pass.
We'll see at least one backflip attempt from Estevan. At least one. Minimum. But I'm also thinking, you know what we're going to see? We're going to see Mikey. He's so creative and so intelligent in his submission attacks. If anybody has the ability to submit Estevan, and so far I've never seen Estevan submitted in his weight class, then I think it could be Mikey. But there's interesting physiological factors to take into account, right? Because Estevan is about 4'11". He's very small, right? Compared to a lot of other people, even in the lightest weight classes. And yet he's got this really thick, powerful torso. And he's got very short muscular limbs. It's very difficult to actually get a good grip or put your body into a position to create the necessary leverage to catch, let's say, for example, an armbar or a leg lock. I don't know. I think, will Mikey go for the neck? I'm just intrigued to see what approach Mikey has, because whatever he's going to do, this is a submission-only match. He has to go for the submission. Simply control might not be enough if Estevan is pushing the pace all the time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking with Mikey this week as we go to the venue and do the presser, the interviews that we always capture. And yeah, I want to get his thoughts. You know, what is he bringing to the table? Because Mikey is a very astute competitor. He always has a strategy in mind, if not the particular finishing sequence that he wants to hit, right? So I'm sure he'll have some ideas about what to do with Estevan. And likewise, I want to see what Estevan thinks of Mikey's threats and what he wants to do in that arena. So it should be fun.
I don't think I've ever seen Estevan change up his game plan for anybody, though, right?
Put on a show. Put on a show.
Full send. I love it. Well, you can watch that this weekend. Like I say, Friday, January 21st, Mikey Musumeci came in late minute, I think, 8 days notice? Something like that. Yeah, 8 days notice to take on Estevan. I love it. But plenty of other matches to look forward to as well. And in the lead up to Who's Number One, what we did was we made an effort to go into some of the gyms to see how the competitors were training for Who's Number One. Because personally, I find this to be the case among most people that I speak to. But I love watching high-level athletes train in the gym. I learn so much from watching these guys train. I often find that jiu-jitsu is a little more open than it is in competition. And I don't often have the patience or the time to be able to sit down and watch an instructional. But I can see them work in different elements of their game, or maybe experimenting with certain things in the gym that I might not see elsewhere. So personally, I'm a big fan of being able to go into the gyms and watch these guys train. But if I'm not able to go there myself, I just open up the training page on FloGrappling, and then you can watch some of these videos. Let's play a clip because this was Michael Sears. This is Trey. We sent Trey last week to B Team, and this is Nicky Rod in the white, doing Nicky Rod things.
Yeah, you got to give a hand to the guy who's willing to wrestle Nicky Rod when the camera's out. That takes, some serious gusto and bravado on his part. But like you said, Hal, the training room is a naturally more open environment. There's more room for experimentation to work on your game, and you can learn a lot. I think my favorite thing actually is watching.
Look at Nicky Rod he's baiting the guy to shoot. You don't see Nick do that in competition.
No,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. I love a Shark Tank scenario. I think that's one of my favorite training rounds or methodologies to study, is to see how someone goes against an onslaught. Corey, what do you make of this session so far here?
Yeah, I mean, just this exchange is telling us, I think, a lot of what we already know, right? That Nicky Rod likes to wrestle, but what we're seeing as this as this goes on is that his submission ability, just like if we're comparing from a couple of years ago from ADCC, his submission ability has gotten so sharp, and it's kind of the same approach, is just anything under the eyebrows is a choke, right? But it's there's also a level of it's very refined.
There is, yeah. No, his game has come on leaps and bounds, and I like the fact as well that, of course, you know, the Nicky Rod is going up against Elder Cruz, El Monstro, who has a really, really solid wrestling pedigree and has used his wrestling so effectively in his jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I know, right?
That was brutal there.
Straight
at the
up
end.
crack on the face. But as Elder Cruz has used his wrestling so effectively in pretty much all his matches, whether it's IBJJF, whether it's ADCC trials, whether it's who's number one, you know, he's able to come out and he's able to generally dictate the pace of these matches in the stand-up phase down to the ground and then just carry on that momentum. But something like Nicky Rod, big, he knows how to wrestle, and watching him there, man, it makes you think, man, is Elder going to have to change up his strategy? I don't know. We'll see. But let's take a look at some more training footage from inside the gym. Again, we go back to B Team, and this video is from this morning because Michael Sears was there 8 a.m. for the early morning class at B Team. I can't believe they train that early. Craig Jones loves training early in the morning for some reason. But yeah, this is some more footage. And as you like to say, this is Craig just being Craig and just doing lots of bullshit submissions, right?
I mean, yeah, the story writes itself. But one thing, if you guys didn't see it last week, is that Craig Jones said he was never going to pull guard again.
What?
That's what he said. And this clip opens up with a nice little blast double from Craig. So, of course, he's eyeing ADCC, right? And if there's any chink in his armor, it would be that his wrestling game was let him down a little bit against Mateus in the final, right?
He would pull guard, and then he would be unable to sweep or submit. And then, that's what we saw recently in that wrestling match. Sorry, the grappling match he had against the UFC guy, right? So, yeah. Ooh, nice use of that height there, that whizzer kick. What do you think? Is Craig trolling? Do you think he's really gonna refrain from pulling guard, Corey?
From a fan perspective, I hope not.
So clean,
I love the idea.
Super dirty. I like it.
I love the idea of Craig wrestling with Pedro Mourinho in this light heavyweight title match.
Yeah, I think Pedro likes that idea too. To be honest,
that gives Pedro maybe, I think, one of his best opportunities for a lot of reasons. I mean, if Craig shoots in, Pedro's got that nasty guillotine. But even if Craig just stays up and wrestles with Pedro, Pedro is an ace wrestler.
Oh yeah, no, Pedro is.
Oh, is he hit the no-gi Ezekiel?
Oh, there it is.
From the closed guard. No
we've got the tutorial, by the way, guys. So this full round and more training stuff is on that training page. But Craig will also show you how to get this finish, and it is absolutely demoralizing. Let me tell you, you don't want to be here.
Man, look at the guy's face.
He's trying so hard.
Awful. Oh my word.
He's done it to me, and I had the exact same reaction. Where you're just like, I hate everything. But
oh man. Yeah, Craig is just so slick, really. Watching him train is just so good. It's because you've rolled with him, right? I've rolled with him too, actually.
He has the stickiest hooks I've ever felt. Like it's like a gi grip with the bottom of his foot curled around your thigh or shin. It's creepy. Almost.
What's ridiculous to me is that he could just literally pick up submissions from anywhere, any angle, top, bottom, back, in front of you. It doesn't matter. He's just so good. Just picking up submissions almost effortlessly. It's just, but yeah, Pedro is explosive. Pedro is a very sharp wrestler. He's very physically, he's a very physical grappler, let's say. He's very physically capable. He's very dangerous, very dynamic, got that incredibly sharp guillotine. And that's not all, we've seen him break out some leg locks and such as well. So we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is, whether Craig really will stay on his feet or we'll see. But I'm excited to see, and I love watching these guys. Drop a comment in the chat, guys. Do you think Craig Jones is trolling us by saying that he's not gonna pull guard for the rest of the year? I'm interested to see what you think. Cool. Well, that's from inside the gym. Let's move on, shall we? And talk now about Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Because as we discussed in the article this morning, on the Grappling Bulletin article, that there are a number of well-known grapplers who are literally about to fight very soon. And those include Gary Tonon. Gary Tonon's got an MMA fight lined up, a title fight.
Finally, by the way.
Yeah, a title fight, no less, lined up for March 11th on One Championship. He will be challenging Than Lee, the featherweight champion, for the strap. 6-0 Gary Tonon, man. But it feels like this fight has been scheduled to happen 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, right? I mean, of course, pandemics do that, but very happy because I know Gary has had it set and then canceled, like you said, 3 or 4 times, and that's got to be, when it's for the title, just extremely painful.
Yeah, it really is. But I'm really excited to see Gary back in action, finally. He's not the only one who's fighting. Very soon, actually, February 6th, this is just a couple of weeks away, Cody Steele will be making his professional debut. After going 2-0 in amateur MMA, Mr. Steele will be making his pro debut in San Antonio, Texas, just down the road. And as he showed in his last fight, right, Corey? Man, this guy, great grappling, powerful wrestling, but he's got some serious knockout power.
Exactly. We've seen how good he is at wrestling, at jiu-jitsu, but I'm surprised every time I watch it, and I've watched that knockout on repeat, but it's impressive. The power he's able to generate, not just in his suplexes and his takedowns, but also in his hands, is professional MMA level, or at least that's what we're going to find out on February 6th.
I think it's freaking scary how hard he hits, but let's see.
Cody was just training with James Krause recently, like last week. I saw
That's right.
his Instagram.
He's been bouncing around quite a lot over the last months. He was also last year he went up to train with Ryan Hall for a period as well, part of the UFC fight camp, I believe. And yeah, Oklahoma he was in recently, I think.
I don't know if it's Kansas or
Kansas
City.
right.
I want to say
somewhere around there.
I think Kansas City, but I could be wrong.
Midwest. Yeah. So man, pretty awesome. Cody Steele will be fighting soon. He's not the only one who has plans to fight in 2022. Felipe Pena actually told us that he has plans to fight in 2022. And he even said, okay, that's why he retired from the gi, IBJJF Worlds. He said, I'm not going to compete in the gi in 2022. I'm going to focus on ADCC and MMA. And if you go to his YouTube channel, actually, there's a pretty good vlog on his YouTube channel of him training MMA locally in Brazil.
That.
Yeah, it's just working out with some local MMA team, and he's going in and getting a feel for what it's like, grappling with them and stuff primarily. Doesn't really do any stand-up sparring, but he's doing jits with hits, they call it, right? And I mean, of course, Felipe Pena's jiu-jitsu is pretty good, so the hits don't change it that much. But of course, he's going to need to invest heavily in that should he want to make a run as a professional. But those are three of the biggest names. Let's talk about two names that breakthrough names. Already household names in the world of grappling, but could one day become household names in MMA as well. And those are the Ruotolo brothers. So the Ruotolo brothers, man, these kids, they love to fight, right? They love to fight.
Born to scrap. Yeah.
No gi. And now it seems they've got their sights set on MMA because Cade Ruotolo sparring right here with Andre Galvao. And there is his brother, his twin brother, Ty Ruotolo, sparring MMA a week out from his Who's Number One title match against Levi Jones-Leary, I might add. Because this was filmed at the Atos HQ, the MMA training session, just last Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting that Atos has actually basically formulated an MMA camp like this year. This wasn't a thing last year. Of course, Andre Galvao signed with ONE FC, but he's not doing his camp outside of Atos, at least not all of it. In fact, it looks like he's spending quite a bit of time inside of his home gym, Atos HQ. So I think that's really cool. And as far as the Ruotolos are concerned, I mean, they have the talent and potential to do anything they want, as far as I'm concerned. So their grappling it translates beautifully into MMA. They're so explosive and dynamic and opportunistic. They spend some time striking, which they've probably been doing kind of for fun their entire life.
Yeah.
I think they could go, like I said, anywhere they wanted to.
Man, I love the idea of these guys going into MMA because they're such unique characters. They're such exciting athletes. They're so dynamic. They're so dangerous in the grappling. But, we've heard that they like to scrap. We've heard that, that whole brotherly kind of love can sort of spill over into like a friendly rivalry sometimes. And, occasionally hands get thrown. But the fact is that, you look at the toolbox. You look at what these guys have got. And when I'm watching them spar, when I'm watching them move, when I'm watching them throw punches and stuff, does it remind you of anybody, Corey? A little bit like it's sort of Diaz Brothers style with the striking?
Yeah, and I think especially because of the volume of attacks, right? That's not just in their striking, that's also in their jiu-jitsu. They're very volumetric.
They overwhelm their opponents,
exactly.
right?
They try and wear you down, and that sounds directly out of the playbook of Nick and Nate Diaz.
I think, as you mentioned as well, right there, Chase, that, I think a lot of it comes from Andre Galvao's plans to fight MMA in 2022. And from what we've heard, he could be back in the ring imminently. Because we spoke to him in November and he said he was hoping to fight as early as February or March. And that deal with One Championship, he's ready to go. He's been training hard. The crew of black belts that they have at Atos, a lot of them have been watching Andre train and they're like, okay, MMA, huh? Yeah, I wouldn't mind to go at that. I mean, in the background of that clip, you can see there's guys like Mike Perez. We've heard that Ronaldo Jr. has been training. We've heard that Kainan Duarte has been training. Lucas Hulk Barboza, Rafael Aguedes. These are all world-class black belts who are looking at MMA and they're thinking, I might test the waters, Hulk actually has MMA fights way back, like 2014, something like that. He fought MMA in Brazil. And he's a little bit older than some of the other competitors. He did that way back early in his career before he really went all in on jiu-jitsu. But now, world-class black belt level, you have to think, these guys, they could do some damage.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see Andre make his one debut. Yeah, of course, the same year as his ADCC Superfight. So the level of commitment and shape that he's looking to be in this year, I mean, he could be at his peak physical condition his entire career. You do MMA fights and you do an ADCC super fight. You couldn't make a more demanding list of tasks for your body to do.
That's a good point because I don't imagine we'll see Andre Galvao do any grappling tournaments or super fights as a warm-up for ADCC. We've heard, and notorious, like, Galvao, he'll do a 3-month training camp just for that match.
I mean, it shows. You look at his last one with Felipe Pena, and he just kicked the doors off that match. I mean, just outpaced, outworked, and beat down Felipe Pena. It was pretty one-sided. Kind of unbelievable, right? People thought Felipe really might have had the right tools to make it very competitive, but Andre kind of shut it down.
And he came out with a physicality and an aggression that was reminiscent of an MMA fight. And, of course, Gordon's going to have a size advantage. Gordon's bigger, he's stronger, he's younger, and very, very dangerous. And maybe Galvao's secret to success in that match, it could be come out hard, put Gordon on the back foot, and use some of that tenacity that he's developed and he had, of course, in his whole career. But maybe the MMA is a way of reigniting that fire. Let's see. But yeah, exciting times. And the only thing I would leave, I would move on from this topic, but the one thing I would want to say before we move on is that I really hope that, great, love to see Ruotolo brothers fighting, but I really hope they don't stop doing jiu-jitsu. Because, man,
that would be devastating.
Right? I want to see those guys compete. Yeah, too fun. Please, don't leave. Just do MMA, but come back and do some super fights for us, then I'm happy.
That's fair. I think that's fair for everyone.
All right, upcoming events here on FloGrappling. We have a bunch, actually. Of course, the ADCC trials coming up in a couple of weeks. That is February 5th is the first of the ADCC trials in Brazil. That is taking place in Balneário Camboriú in the south of Brazil, just outside of Florianópolis. And then February 12th, the week later, is the trials in Sao Paulo. Registrations are open. We've seen a kind of a little sneak peek of the registrations, the people who have signed up. It's pretty quiet right now. We're expecting more names to come in. Even the sponsored athletes who we talked about last week are not on the official list as of yet. So hopefully we'll be able to release that list a little closer to the time, but we are expecting some big names to come in for this. However, big tournament that's right around the corner as well is IBJJF European Championships.
Yes, the IBJJF calendar is about to begin, right? A little bit later than usual. Typically, it's a January tournament. We're seeing it in February, and we're making the move to Italy. So let's go ahead and run this clip here.
This is not it.
Keen viewers will recognize Lisbon. Lisbon, Portugal is where the tournament has traditionally been held.
Man, I miss that.
One of my favorite cities, right?
I see the view of that, and I'm just like, I remember walking up and down that street every day. It was such a beautiful city.
There's something to be said. We go to tournaments all across the U.S., and they're kind of in convention centers and stuff like that. They all look the same. The European Championship looks different. I do expect the same from Rome. Rome will certainly stand out as well. And here's some of the greatest moments, right? This is an older vlog, or short film, rather, that we put together a couple years ago. And we have that incredible submission from Felipe Pena versus Herber Santos. But all the big names are usually in attendance at Europeans, as it does signal the beginning of the season. The storylines are set. And it really is just I think the best way to start things off. The energy is unlike any other tournament I've ever been to, because you have not only, of course, the European locals across the continent, but you also have a lot of almost Eastern European athletes and Asian athletes coming across where they cannot always make it to the United States. So you get a really robust roster of competitors, and I expect the same from this year. Can't wait to go.
It's the most international tournament on the IBJJF calendar. It's the most represented amongst different nationalities. And even higher ups in the IBJJF have said, for some of these guys, for example, like the Eastern Europeans, the Russians, the Asians who can't get visas to enter the United States, it is their World Championships. And it's a truly international tournament with, like you say, a very different flavor to some other events. And for me, it's second only to Brazilian Nationals as the loudest jiu-jitsu tournament that I've ever been to. Yeah, the passion runs high. The matches are always spectacular. There are some epic moments from Europeans over the last couple of years. Corey, any big moments from Euro stand out to you over the last few years?
I mean, the one that always kind of shines out to me is Estevan Matthiessen defeating Tommy Langaker. But I mean, let's even talk. Tommy Langaker defeating Herbert Santos. Got the E's mixed up there.
Yeah.
I was wait, what?
That happened maybe in the warm-up room or something.
Tommy versus Herbert. Yes.
That's
that was
a crazy
just one
moment.
of those legendary moments from Europeans. I remember Muhammad Ali doing a freaking backflip to escape from a single leg. Remember that?
I do. I remember Mike and Musumeci entering the absolute division, taking on Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
I remember Felipe Andrews submitting Keenan Cornelius for the first time in Keenan's black belt career.
Oh my God! Yeah, as in the gi. Yeah,
in the gi. Lucas Lepre doing his run through the absolute at one point as well.
And then Levi
Jones-Leary also coming back and
Felipe Pena getting his arm broken by Herbert Santos and then escaping and going on to win. Man, it was some
Mackenzie Dern
moments.
taking on Tayani. In fact, Tayani in the absolute has a bunch of crazy battles. Like Bianca Basilio, I think, had a match with her, as well as Bia Mosquita. So, the Europeans is always really fun. I feel like people have been away from the circuit for a few months because of the holidays, and so everyone's fired up to start competing again. It's a very happy atmosphere, but also extremely competitive and intense.
Celebratory, I think it is. It's like a celebration of jiu-jitsu. Everybody's always excited. And, we've been keeping an eye on the list of signups, and right now, very well represented by the European nations. I think that they are just chomping at the bit to compete because, of course, this is the first major IBJJF tournament in Europe since the 2020 IBJJF European Championships. And that sounds, it's only 2 years and 2 months ago. No, it is a lifetime ago. I was talking pre-coronavirus.
Yeah,
Laws changes there.
And my God, it does feel like a different universe at this point.
It really does. Yeah. But it's phenomenal. I can't wait. Europeans is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be there. I'm going to be in Brazil. Not sad about that. But it's going to be a ton of fun. Euros coming up. You can watch it. It's a week-long tournament as well. And you can watch every day. You can watch it live or on demand right here in FloGrappling.
Yep. Stay tuned. Once WNO wraps up this week, we'll be launching our European content extravaganza. Non-stop blitz until Euros.
Guys, thank you for joining us. That's it for today's episode. We'll see you next week. Going to be talking about the big results coming out of who's number one this weekend. Take it easy.